Once upon a time, in a quaint village nestled deep within a dense forest, lived a poor woodcutter and his wife, along with their two beloved children, Hansel and Gretel. Life had become increasingly challenging for the family, as the wicked grip of famine and poverty tightened its hold on their tiny cottage. Day after day, the woodcutter struggled to find enough food to feed his family. Their pantry grew emptier, and the children's bellies grumbled with hunger. The woodcutter's wife, consumed by despair, came up with a desperate plan. She suggested taking the children deep into the heart of the forest and leaving them there, hoping that someone kind-hearted might find them and give them a better life. The woodcutter, torn between his love for his children and his inability to provide for them, reluctantly agreed. As night fell and the moon cast its silvery glow over the sleeping village, the trembling parents led Hansel and Gretel into the depths of the dark woods. Unbeknownst to their parents, Hansel, being clever and resourceful, had come up with a plan of his own. As they journeyed further into the forest, he secretly dropped white pebbles along the path, glimmering in the moonlight, creating a trail that could guide them back home. At dawn, the woodcutter led the children to a clearing, telling them it was time to gather firewood. But in his heart, he knew it was a lie. With tears streaming down his face, the woodcutter hesitated but eventually retreated, leaving Hansel and Gretel alone in the forest. Hansel, realizing their parents' true intentions, whispered to his sister, "Fear not, Gretel. I have a plan." The children waited until they were sure their parents were gone, then began following the trail of pebbles back home. With each step, their spirits lifted, and a glimmer of hope ignited within them. But their happiness was short-lived, for the wicked stepmother's heart remained cold. A few weeks later, she convinced the woodcutter to abandon the children once again, this time taking them deeper into the forest where they could never find their way back. However, Hansel, being wise beyond his years, had overheard their conversation. Determined to outsmart his stepmother, he filled his pockets with breadcrumbs, subtly dropping them along the path as they ventured into the unknown woods. As the day wore on, Hansel and Gretel realized they were truly lost. The breadcrumbs they had relied upon had been devoured by hungry birds and forest creatures. Panic set in as they wandered aimlessly, their hope dwindling with each passing moment. Days turned into nights, and hunger gnawed at their stomachs. Weak and exhausted, the siblings stumbled upon a clearing bathed in a warm, golden light. Their eyes widened in amazement as they beheld a gingerbread cottage standing before them. Its walls were adorned with candy windows, and the roof was made of icing and sweet treats. The aroma of sugary delights filled the air, overpowering their senses. Unable to resist, the famished children approached the cottage, their mouths watering with anticipation. They began breaking off pieces of the delectable house, indulging in the forbidden feast. Little did they know, the cottage belonged to an old witch, a sinister sorceress who lured lost children with her sugary abode, only to capture them and make them her slaves. With a cackling laugh, the witch emerged from the cottage, her grotesque figure sending shivers down Hansel and Gretel's spines. The children found themselves trapped, prisoners in the witch's wicked grasp. The witch revealed her sinister intentions, locking Hansel in a cage while forcing Gretel into endless chores and tasks. Days turned into weeks, and the witch, unaware of the resilience that lay within the siblings' hearts, grew confident in her ability to control them. However, Hansel, though trapped, devised a daring plan. He pretended to be weak and feeble, persuading the witch to feel his finger to gauge his fattening progress. With each passing day, Hansel presented a bone rather than his finger, fooling the witch with his clever ruse. Meanwhile, Gretel, witnessing her brother's ingenuity, bided her time, plotting their escape. One evening, as the witch, impatient for her dinner, prepared to check Hansel's finger, he stalled, requesting she demonstrate how to test it properly. Falling for his cunning words, the overconfident witch extended her gnarled finger. With a burst of strength, Hansel grabbed the witch's hand, imprisoning her in his own cage. The terrified siblings wasted no time, seizing the opportunity to escape the clutches of their captor. Running through the dark forest, fueled by determination and a thirst for freedom, Hansel and Gretel finally stumbled upon a familiar sight, their humble cottage, waiting patiently for their return. The woodcutter, burdened with guilt, wept with joy upon seeing his children safe and sound. From that day forward, the family lived in contentment, cherishing their newfound appreciation for one another. The wicked stepmother disappeared from their lives, and Hansel and Gretel learned to forgive, though they could never forget. Their miraculous journey through the woods taught them resilience, courage, and the power of sibling love. They became storytellers, sharing their extraordinary tale of survival and reminding the world that even in the darkest of times, hope and ingenuity can lead one back home. And so, the legend of Hansel and Gretel would forever be etched in the annals of Grimm's fairy tales, inspiring generations to come.